Ben canceled the first Bennifer wedding in 2003 after realizing a terrible mistake, and J-Lo felt like she was gonna die. 19 years later, Ben didn't learn from his initial mistake and now calls off the actual marriage, leaving J-Lo completely heartsick and devastated. Ben Affleck has been married to J-Lo for only 2 years, but for him, it feels like 20 years of imprisonment. From what close sources and Ben himself have said, the imprisonment started right from the first day of their wedding. What was supposed to be a honeymoon turned into a bitter moon literally overnight. The thing is, he saw the red flags right from the start, but ignored it thinking love don't cost a thing, as J-Lo said. Now he knows better, as he's currently holed up in a rented apartment paying $100K a month, while his $60 million jointly owned mansion is already up for sale, at a huge loss. After the last J-Lo tantrum and transfer of aggression that sent him packing, Ben is finally done and fed up with all the humiliation, toxic control, nasty temper, and diva attitudes he's been putting up with for the last 2 years. But sources say J-Lo is still pleading with him, as she is not ready to let go. This aligns with fans' comments that J-Lo can't bear to stay single for a single day. Ben's facial expression tells us of how miserable his marriage is, and fans can tell from day one that this marriage wasn't gonna last. Their conflicting personalities, the weird rules J-Lo made Ben follow, and her toxic control over every aspect of his life are the real reasons why Ben gave up on J-Lo. In this video, we'll examine the major reasons why Ben finally gave up on his marriage to J-Lo. We'll give you the inside scoop on the closely guarded secrets of why Ben finally gave up on trying to make his marriage to J-Lo work out. Some of these reasons include how J-Lo had been relentlessly exercising a toxic grip on every aspect of his life, even the number of times they're to have weekly. Yes, it seems ridiculously unbelievable, but it's one of the rules Ben had been following before gaining his freedom. But we'll save the best for last, as we'll reveal that one shocking thing that close sources say is the last thing J-Lo did that made Ben pack up once and for all. As a bonus, we'll also toss in the reason Ben didn't stand a chance against the more maritally experienced J-Lo even from the first time they met in 2002. But before we go into the juicy details, let's examine how Ben and J-Lo met and how he got into this costly mess in the first place. Ben and J-Lo first met in 2002 on the set of the movie Geely, and instantly became known as Bennifer as they started dating almost immediately. The problem, however, was that J-Lo was already married to Chris Judd at the time. To get him out of the way, J-Lo filed for divorce from him in July 2002. By November of that same year, she was already engaged to Ben and set to get married. Does that not seem off to you? You could say she literally abandoned her marriage just to marry Ben. And this wasn't the only time she did that. She did exactly the same thing the second time they reconnected, but the wedding was canceled just days before the D-Day. The official story was that they had to cancel the wedding because of the excessive media attention trailing the occasion. Yeah, that is true to some extent, but there's also a second, more important reason they didn't disclose. Ben called off the first Bennifer wedding in 2003 for 2 reasons. The first was the reason made public. He couldn't deal with the excessive media attention his love life was receiving, even though that was exactly what J-Lo was craving and hoping for. The second reason, which was best kept a secret, was that Ben realized just days before the wedding that the marriage would never work. After getting engaged in November the previous year and making plans to get married, Ben realized that J-Lo was the only one in control of all the wedding plans. He was merely taking a back seat, and there were several things he didn't like about the preparation. But whenever he raised his concerns, J-Lo always had a way of discarding these concerns. One of the notable discomforts Ben had about the wedding was the media frenzy over what he had hoped would be a private, intimate wedding. When he raised this concern, J-Lo had her usual J-Lo way of solving it. She solved the issue by hiring 3 decoy brides for 3 different wedding locations. When Ben saw that she wasn't being sincere in trying to avoid the media frenzy trailing their upcoming wedding, he had to call it off, leaving J-Lo feeling like she was gonna die, as she revealed in an interview over 10 years later. But Ben never stood a chance from the beginning, and more importantly, he didn't learn his lesson.
I honestly felt like I was gonna die.
He probably brought it upon himself because fast forward to 2021, Ben once again hooked up with J-Lo, marking the start of Bennifer 2.0. Like the first time, Bennifer 2.0 had started to crumble even from the beginning of the relationship. And like the first time, J-Lo was deeply in another relationship before jumping over to ignite the start of Bennifer 2.0. Ben finalized his divorce with Jennifer Garner in 2018 and had been single for 3 years. J-Lo, on the other hand, was engaged and set to marry Alex Rodriguez. The same month, J-Lo called off her engagement to Alex was the same month she started dating Ben. 1 year later, they got married, and Ben couldn't have made a worse decision. According to sources close to the couple, Bennifer 2.0 started experiencing its unfair share of rough roads right from the first day of their honeymoon. Ben thought this was going to be different and that J-Lo had changed, but it was already too late before he realized that this J-Lo was the same J-Lo of 20 years ago. Sources say Ben was thinking of the fairy tale of living happily ever after with J-Lo. This was why he saw the blazing red flags but chose to ignore them. The first argument that sprung up between the newlyweds was about the controlling nature of J-Lo. J-Lo's a perfectionist who likes to have everything under her control, including her husband, and this is exactly what Ben hates. He's the carefree kind of guy who likes to sit back and let things run its course. But apart from this conflicting personality, one thing J-Lo keeps doing, but which Ben hated, was her desire to control every aspect of his life. This includes his drinking and smoking habits, his choice of friends, and his favorite hobby. Ben's the kind of guy that finds it hard to shy away from alcohol. In fact, his marriage to Jennifer Garner crumbled majorly because of alcohol addiction. So, for someone like Ben who's already used to drinking alcohol since he was 15, J-Lo's strict rule of no alcohol was like imprisonment. J-Lo was so strict with this rule that she even checked his drink in public for signs of alcohol. However, fans have been asking, can you force an alcoholic to change, except when he's ready to change? One fan who was first-hand experience with alcoholism rightly predicted what would happen with all of J-Lo's strict rules. The fan said, "As a recovering alcoholic myself, I feel so bad for Ben. If he is sober now, he may not be in the near future if she doesn't back off. She cannot act like his parent." Another aspect of Ben's life that J-Lo tried to control was his choice of friends. J-Lo disliked some of Ben's circle of friends and wanted to change them. These included NFL star Tom Brady and actor Matt Damon. She especially disliked Tom Brady, whom she felt might feed him with ideas of divorcing her, just like Brady ended his 13-year-old marriage to Gisele Bündchen. Thinking about recent events, Ben was making a loud and clear statement when he attended his friend's event, but 24 hours after the Tom Brady roast, he was too busy to accompany his wife to the Met Gala where she was the co-chair. Ben was literally saying that he values his friends and friendship more than his toxic wife who tried to turn him against his friends. Now that J-Lo's out of his life, it is reported that this same Matt Damon is the one Ben is leaning on for support. While J-Lo was unsuccessful in controlling Ben's inner circle of friends, she was successful in controlling his hobby. Long before meeting J-Lo, Ben loved biking, and he had a good collection of prized bikes. But after his wedding to J-Lo, J-Lo started complaining about how biking is a dangerous and reckless hobby, which Ben must switch for something else. As expected, Ben wasn't ready to quit what he's always enjoyed doing, just because someone he married last month didn't think it was safe. But J-Lo had other plans since Ben wasn't ready to compromise. She waited until they were away on vacation and had all of Ben's prized motorbikes sold to a dealer without his knowledge. That is one of the things Ben would probably never forgive her for, but that's not all. Apart from being able to enjoy his favorite alcoholic drinks, Ben also missed snacking on junk food since J-Lo wouldn't allow it. She not only wanted to ensure that he eats only healthy foods, but also hired a nutritionist and a personal trainer and installed a gym in their house for his sake. She simply wanted to change everything about him to fit in with her taste. This is why Ben thinks J-Lo has a hard time feeling satisfied with everything about him. And there's the issue of Ben not cleaning up after himself. A source close to the couple once revealed that Ben doesn't clean up after himself, which irritates the hell out of Jennifer. Cleaning up after oneself might seem unimportant to some people, especially when you have a lot of staff to do that, but not for J-Lo. As a perfectionist, it irritates the hell out of her, and she wouldn't have it otherwise. All these rules, opposing personalities, and interference in his life choices kept adding to the resentment Ben harbored against J-Lo as he kept feeling suffocated by the marriage. And he didn't hide it, as fans could tell from his facial expression that he was miserable. This is why one fan commented, "If Ben felt trapped with Garner, I wonder what he's gonna feel about Sergeant J-Lo." And another said, "All this time Ben was telling us with his expression he had enough." Obviously, he didn't just feel trapped by J-Lo, it was toxic. But it wasn't just because of these icky rules that made Ben finally call it quits. It was also because of the humiliation that he's been enduring for years. Imagine the embarrassment Ben must have felt whenever his wife checked his drinks for signs of alcohol, right in front of the cameras. This is the same man who can't deal with media attention now having his dirty laundry aired in front of Paps. If J-Lo could humiliate Ben this much in public, imagine what she does when there's no camera. A close source has given us insight into what Ben deals with behind closed doors. The source revealed that she's been known to yell at him and point her finger. It makes people wonder if she mistakes him for the dog. Of course, J-Lo's diva attitude is legendary. Recently, she unleashed the famous diva attitude at the Met Gala. It was just a few days before this event that J-Lo did that, which made Ben give up flop entirely on his marriage. You already know about the poor performance of J-Lo's This Is Me Now tour. It is no longer news that the tour is such a flop that she had to cancel the entire North American summer tour. What you probably didn't know was that the low ticket sales and show cancellation had such a drastic effect on her that close sources say she's falling apart as she's turned into a complete bitch ever since. This was the last straw that broke the camel's back for Ben. For you to understand what this means, picture the usual day-to-day J-Lo that everyone hates and complains about. Now imagine that usual diva attitude of J-Lo sprinkled with a good dose of anger and garnished with transferred aggression from the complete flop of her disastrously poor tour. That's exactly what Ben had to deal with, or rather, what he couldn't deal with anymore, which is why he finally gave up. Ben has since packed out of the $60 million Bel Air mansion they bought last year and is now living in a rented Brentwood apartment that cost him $100,000 a month. Coincidentally, or is it calculatedly, this apartment is only 2 blocks away from his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner. J-Lo's also been shopping for another house as they're trying to quietly sell their house. On Sunday, TMZ reported that they've hired the realtor services of Santiago Arana from the agency. Ben and J-Lo jointly bought the $43,000 square foot house in cash for $60.85 million in May 2023. The listing price is $65 million, which means the couple will suffer a huge loss since they still have to pay the necessary realtor fees and tax, which is now quite expensive based on the new California state tax on expensive properties. But Ben seems not to mind the loss he'll incur. What's more important to him is his peace of mind. Just this week, Ben was seen driving his black Mercedes as he visited J-Lo at their mansion for a 4-hour meeting, which was probably meant to fine-tune the terms and conditions of their complicated separation. Speaking to Entertainment Tonight, a close source reveals what the deal about their complicated separation is by saying, Ben and Jen don't want to get divorced and are saying they won't, but their relationship is simply not working at this point. This leaves us to wonder how they'll do it. A recent report sheds light on the reason why they're not getting divorced yet, and it seems to be that J-Lo still hopes that Ben might reconsider his decision to quit their marriage. The latest report from close sources says that J-Lo's desperately trying to get Ben to cancel his decision to quit their marriage, as she still thinks they're meant to be, even though Ben now holds a different opinion. Speaking about why J-Lo is still fighting to get Ben back, a close source says, one of the reasons she's still wearing a ring is that she's not given up on her marriage. She loves Ben and wants to make their marriage work. But the majority of fans are on the opposite side of the wall, as they're of the opinion that Ben wants out, which has to be humiliating for J-Lo. She should just let it go and move on. And we couldn't agree more. J-Lo should simply let Ben go. Another user who also supports Ben's move hints at the fact that J-Lo is yet to wake up to reality by saying, if I were Ben, I'd be living in a different house too. She thinks life is a Disney princess movie and she needs to be canceled. After almost 2 years together, Ben Affleck has finally given up on his marriage to J-Lo despite J-Lo's desperate attempt at trying to save her marriage. Ben had been enduring her toxic control, diva attitudes, and strict rules until the poor ticket sales and show cancellation of her tour turned her into a bigger and nastier diva than she had ever been. And Ben couldn't take that anymore. He now lives in a $100K a month rented apartment, which is just 2 blocks away from his ex-wife, while they're trying to quickly and quietly sell their $60.85 million shared home at a huge loss. But Ben is okay with this loss because the Bennifer 2.0 love had cost him almost everything already.